Yo, what's going on, everybody? We are back with another Elevate interview. I'm really not sure what number this is, maybe 16 or 17, but I'm here with my man, Greg Ryder, today. And this is going to be a unique interview because I think, Greg, I think tomorrow's your 1 month in with Elevate. Is that correct?
Yeah, it could be. That makes sense. I
Yeah.
honestly, time has flown if it's been a month, but yeah, no, it feels like I just joined last week.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Yeah, time has flown, and we're going to dive in today why that is. But this is the earliest we've done an interview with any of our members, so definitely going to be a unique one. You broke the record, Greg, so that should make you feel accomplished today. But what's up, man? Tell me and the people a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm coming to you from Alberta, Canada, which is yeah, I've been living here for a couple years now since 2021. I've definitely been, traveling and kind of doing my thing for the last little while. Originally from a small town called Waterdown, which is in Ontario, about 45 minutes east of Toronto. And yeah, it's a gloomy day here, but we're going to bring the sunshine.
Let's go, dude. Let's go. So yeah, I mean, you got to tell the people what all you do. A singer songwriter,
Mm-hmm.
coffee connoisseur. You own a coffee business. I'm actually sitting here drinking it, this cup right now. So
Love it.
representing. But yeah, dude, you're a man of many talents.
Yeah, no, man. I think for me, it's been avenues. I've always done a lot of different things. It's kind of always been my thing. Like I never really had a straight path in where I was going. I was ever since a young age, I was kind of all over the map with different sports. Could never really focus on, one sport at a time. I played all the sports. I never really had a dream of what I wanted to be when I grew up. I think for me, it was like I didn't want to grow up. I just wanted to like play sports, and I wanted to kind of live life and in this. And I really didn't want to jump into the adult world.
Hmm.
And I think that obviously later in life, I've looked back on that and I wondered why. And I just go, and I was always trying to run away from that. Always want to find something that I truly enjoyed and truly was passionate about. And that took a lot of different tries. I went to school for TV broadcasting, thinking that was going to be the thing that I did, and talked about sports on some sports site. But that ended up not working out, and I started to kind of go back to my love, which was in elementary school, which was public speaking. Like
Hmm.
whenever it was like speech and speaking season, like that was my favorite thing. Like I was never afraid to get in front of a crowd. I was the class clown. I was always the guy that wanted the spotlight on me and the center of attention. So I went back to that, kind of got into some speaking very early on in my life. And then I stumbled upon music when I was about 22. And, that's taken up a big majority of my life. And now I consider myself a singer, a songwriter, and a storyteller. That's the best way to describe all the things that I do. And I love coffee.
Yes, let's go. Had to top it off with a coffee. So yeah, Greg is an incredible singer songwriter. What we're going to dive into in a little bit is, you know, how we integrated that into our last event in Montana in Yellowstone. But as of right now, I am curious. Take us back to where you were, like right before joining, and ultimately what led you to joining Elevate.
Yeah, so for me in joining Elevate, I think I just hit this point in my life where I got introduced to this group from one of your members named Isaac Handcamp, and he sent this to me many months ago, and it just sat on my phone. I didn't really pay too much attention to it
Hmm.
because I don't even think I was really my faith was even ready yet. I'm so new to faith, and it's been such a new experience and kind of immersion for me. Like obviously, I've grown a lot in my faith in the last year, but for I don't sometimes I was like, am I a full Christian man? And am I ready to jump into a Christian group with other men that probably know way more than me? And am I going to feel like inferior when they start talking about the Bible and all the things I don't know. So I think for me, it's like I kind of got the group in my text, and I left it alone for a bit, because at that point, like, I wanted to create my own. I wanted to create my own organization, and help other men, inspire men, and kind of build a community. So when I saw that, I was like, man, these Elevate boys, like, these guys are doing like what my vision, what I want to do. And at that point, I was just kicking off like an in-person men's group in my town here in Strathmore. And we had like 4 or 5 guys that would meet every Thursday, and we'd all like kind of sit and talk and stuff like that. But they weren't all believers. And I remember like the group just hit this like stagnant. It felt like no one wanted to grow the group. And like every single time we got together, we would just talk about like little things. And like we were talking about wins and lessons learned. And like I just felt like it just wasn't enough for me. And I felt I wanted to go deeper. And like I had this like calling to want to go deeper with faith in God. And I remember I was at work one day, and I just like looked through my phone again, and I was like, what was that group that Isaac mentioned to me like so many months ago? And I went across, scrolled up our messages, found Elevate, read through your website again, and I was like, let's do it. I'm like, man, it's literally $30. I'm like, if this is like the worst thing in the world, I'll just cancel and like move on. And I was just like, I'm just going to join, and I'm just going to see what it's all about. And yeah, it was a slow day at work, and I was just sitting there like plowing through all the forums, and I'm like, this is cool. I'm like, man, these guys are literally doing what like my vision would be in like 3 to 5 years. I'm like, I wouldn't have this completed right now. And I'm like, in the back of my head, like a little bit of my ego was like, oh man, if you can't beat them, join them. And I was like literally saying that. I was like, these guys are crushing it. And I'm like, watch, there's going to be like a 75 hard playbook or something, because I'm a huge 75 harder. And all of a sudden I type in one of your search bars, and I'm like, it must be a forum for 75 hard. And then I type it in. It's like, get the 75 hard playbook. And I was like, guys got everything. And I'm like, so I just knew that it was my group. It was my people. And yeah, man, I dove straight in and started jumping on Bible studies and just started to take it all in.
You did, man. There's several things that I want to unpack there. You mentioned the doubts that you had before joining, maybe not being as knowledgeable in the Bible or as deep as in your faith, I guess, as you felt you needed to be before joining. Did you ever have those doubts after joining and after diving in head first?
No, absolutely not. Like, I think it was very, very welcoming right from the beginning. I think like, yeah, I definitely became more comfortable, speaking out on Bible studies now, like after just a month of being in the group. But, yeah, I was just, I definitely didn't feel like, because it's just good. It's just a bunch of guys, and they break the ice before a lot of these calls. So it's just a bunch of guys hanging out. And, yeah, you're learning that everyone's learning. Everyone, like, the Bible is huge, and there's so much to know. And it's like, you can't expect someone to be like everyone to be an expert. Like, there's people at all different levels in their faith. And, yeah, I just think for me, I didn't have those doubts and stuff when I came in. I was just like, I'm just ready to take it all in.
Good. That's incredible, man. I'm sure, it's natural. Like, you're coming into a community of almost 150 men. You've got these Bible studies. You don't really know what they look like. Who's going to be on them? What are we going to talk about? Do I have to say anything? But in reality, like, it's just come as you are. We're just a bunch of dudes who are diving into the Word together. If you want to leave your camera off, don't say anything at all, and just take home what everybody else is saying, then you can. Or if you want to be like my man Greg here, who dives in head first and is, spreading the good word a little bit more than what I do on the Bible studies. You're outdoing me now, man. It's cool to see. But yeah, it's incredible, man. I'm glad you just dove in head first.
Yeah, man. No, it was easy. And, for me, I think, definitely just feeling like I have so much, like God has just helped me in just my story and my struggle, and just I feel like God really was pulling me through a lot of my dark times, the last 10 years. And I was talking this about my girlfriend the other day on a walk. It's just like, God never let me get too far down into addiction. He didn't send me, but he let me kind of feel like I was out on my own for a bit. And I had some very lost years and a lot of dark years, but like I just feel that like God puts you through those things so you can eventually, turn back around and try and help people. And I just think for me, it's just, I like that I'm a little bit more older now and I'm more experienced, and I can kind of like, yeah, I can talk about my experience more, and I have more direction on where I'm going. So I just feel like whenever I have a chance to speak, I go for it.
That's incredible, dude. Yeah, as we all should. God gives us a message to share, and it's our duty to share it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to point out, and I've kind of already said it, your timeline as a member has accelerated massively. So, I mean, when was your kickoff call? About a week in after
Yeah.
you joined?
Yeah.
And can you kind of walk us through, what went down on that kickoff call after a week after joining?
Yeah, for sure. Like that kickoff call, like I remember I was like, I booked a call with you and Matt and I on the same day, and I didn't even realize I did that. And I think I had I think it was a holiday or something. I had a day off, and I remember I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna like jam pack all my calls into one day. And yeah, I was kind of just like excited to kind of chat with you guys, just connect, kind of learn more about who you guys were and the kind of the history behind Elevate and stuff like that. And that morning, I was just out for a walk, and my head's always thinking about music. It's always coming up with titles or little lyrics or it's my blessing and my curse, because I'm always singing. If I'm always like in a car or whatever, I'm always like humming something. So I was out for a walk, and I just started thinking, I'm like, Elevate's like it's just a cool word. It's a cool word. And I'm just like, there's gotta be like, and I typed it in on Spotify, and I'm like, there's not really a song called Elevate. And I'm like, what does elevate mean to me? It's like, you're elevating people. Like what Elevate's doing, like you guys as an organization are doing that. And I just remember just going for a walk and like just humming like, I want to elevate this room. I want to live my life and do it all for you. I was like, we got something here. And I'm like, kind of like bumping. And then I'm like, got my voice recorder out. I'm like, ah, na 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 na, and I was like just vibing on this walk, and I was like, crap, like I gotta get home, and I gotta get this down. And then just walked in, and I got the guitar out and like just figuring out a melody on it. And then I was like, how cool would this be if I had like, I knew time was of the essence, and I was just like, I got a half hour until my call with Peyton. And I'm like, I should get like this down. Like I should just show this to him that I'm like, I'm writing you guys a tune. I'm writing you guys a song. And then I think I only had like 4 lines. I had probably 4 or 5 lines, and all the others were just like first draft rough lines. And I was like, I'm just gonna show them, and if you guys like the melody and that kind of stuff, and you see what has potential, then I'll finish it. Yeah, I showed you the song on the call, and you're like, dude, that's sick. And I'm just like, thanks, man. Like, it just came to me. And then I sat down after our call, and I actually like worked on it for another hour and a half, 2 hours, and then had a more finished version for my next call with Matt.
Wow, that is incredible. So literally an hour before the kickoff call, this came to you.
Yeah.
Wow. And these kickoff calls, for anyone listening, it's the first call that you get when you join Elevate. It's with me. We kind of run through the community. And I've never had anything like this happen. I mean, Greg are connecting really well, chatting it up. I'm helping him understand the Discord a little bit more. And then he's like, dude, I wrote you guys a song. I didn't know if I was going to bring this up or not, but if you'd like to hear it, I'd love to play it for you. I was like, yes, please do. So he played me this song. And what's really unique and I guess powerful about this instance is that for 3 to 4 weeks leading up to this call, I had just been envisioning myself and 10 other guys, members from Elevate, around a campfire, singing and worshiping God and singing worship songs. And I just didn't know how it was going to come together yet. We didn't really have any very musical guys inside of Elevate. So I was convinced I was going to have to learn how to play the guitar and sing some songs. But then you come along and you play this song for us, and I'm like, light bulb goes off. With you only being in the community 1 week, I didn't know if you would be up for this, but I ended up just lightly pitching you on the idea to come to our Montana event, which was like 2 weeks, probably a week and a half after the kickoff call. So like 9 days from that present moment. And how was, just walk us through that experience for you, man?
Yeah, it was a blur, man. Like, I remember when I first joined, I looked on the event list and I saw Yellowstone. And when I saw sold out beside it, I was like, yes. And I'm like, I don't have to go to that because Yellowstone is good. I really want to go to that because I was a huge Yellowstone fan. I was watching Yellowstone. And then I was like, I've never been to Montana. I was like, at first I was like, I want to go. And I don't think it was sold out. It was like one spot left. And I was like, I'm brand new in the group. Like, I'm not ready to like jump into Montana yet. Like, let's get the lay of the land a bit first. And then it got sold out. And I was like, okay, perfect. I don't have to take that last spot. And I was like, I don't have to make this crazy decision. And then, when you were on the call, you were just like, man, like, do you want to come to Montana? I was like, whoa, Mike. I thought about that. I'm like, it would be really cool. And I'm like, It's coming up quick. I have so many things coming from all different angles at me right now. My truck just broke down. I'm looking for a new truck. I'm taking time off work. Like, it was so stressful. But I was just like, man, I feel like God is saying, like, take this opportunity, like, just say yes and we'll figure the rest out together. And I just felt that. I think I prayed about it that night. I talked to my girlfriend and I was just like, I just feel this is an opportunity that I have to take. Like, even if this puts me in a little bit of a hole or something and I gotta work my way up for a bit, keep my head down for a bit. Like, I'm going to figure this out. And bought a truck, I think 2 days before, and then went for this trip, and it's been a blur.
Dude, it truly has. But what a powerful testimony just to your faith that is. I mean, not only did you have all of these things going on in your life, truck breaking down. I mean, I would have loved to have heard the conversation with your partner, with your girl, about coming to this event, and also just the thing of traveling to another country, traveling to the U.S. to meet 9 other guys who you have no idea who they are. Like, all of those, just, I hate to say difficulties, but just things that add up to make this a true leap of faith. Like, I commend you for that, man. That's powerful.
Yeah, that part didn't scare me because I fly by the seat of my pants most times. Like, I'm not afraid to. Yeah, I've started again in 3 different countries. Like, I've moved around. So, like, I actually love just going, and I'd move places alone. Like, I would never even know anybody. I would just make a part. So, like, that part, I was like, oh, I'll figure that part out. Like, it was just more about, like, the logistics of getting there. That was my big thing. So I'm like, okay, it's like, I looked at flights and I'm like, flights are pretty expensive. What's another way of getting there? Don't have a vehicle right now to drive down there. And I'm like, how is this going to work? And then we found Myron, which is coming down from Edmonton, and he was happy to take me down. So that all worked out too. So Yeah, that was the part that made me stressed out, was the logistics of it, was figuring out how to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you take leaps like that, God provides a plan, provides
Mhm.
the steps to take. And in this case, it was hitching a ride with one of our other members who attended, Myron, coming down. I think he's an hour north of you.
3 hours.
Oh, 3 hours north. Okay. So I
Mhm.
mean, you were pretty much along the way, right? He
Yeah.
scooped you.
Yeah, he
That's
scooped me on the way
perfect.
down, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Mhm.
I mean, 2 weeks after you joined, then all of a sudden you're in Yellowstone with 9 other members from this community.
Mhm.
That's so cool to see. And I'm curious, can you walk us through your experience from the event? Just day one, day
Yeah.
two, day three.
Yeah, for sure. So, obviously day one, I consider that the travel day. Meeting Myron, he just showed up at my house, and I greeted him with a hug, and I was just like, we just jumped in the car and started driving. Had a little frantic before we left. I packed the passport deep in my suitcase, and I was like, I should make sure I have this just before we get too far out in the road. He's like, yeah, for sure. And I'm like, I was so confident when I had the passport in my hand, and then I stuck it somewhere. So we
Oh
did
man.
that, and then we got on the road, man, and we were just kind of talking about Elevate, talking about his story, getting to know his background and stuff like that. And obviously, two new guys get in the car for the first time for an 8-hour drive. It's like, do you talk a lot? Do you kind of chill? So we just were talking for the first 3 hours, like nonstop, like wouldn't stop talking. And then as we got out, we're like, okay, we're in here for a long drive. So we started like kind of calm down. But that was really cool. And then we showed up in Montana, met up with you guys, saw the beautiful place that you guys rented, and we just showed up, and it it was funny. Like it didn't even feel like we were strangers. Like it
Mhm.
kind of just like I kind of walked up, and Matt was the first one to greet me, and he came out, and we hugged, and he was just like, man, the Canadians. And it was just like it kind of felt like we already knew each other. And walking into the house, and meeting everyone, it was just like it felt pretty comfortable right off the get go, which is really cool. And I think, like, we all know why we're there and why we're here. And
Yep.
I think having that universal theme was really cool. And yeah, night one, we just had some food and hung out, and just kind of got to know each other. And then day two, we woke up and got some breakfast ready, and started to do the hike in Yellowstone that day. And yeah, I really did not know what to expect. I've heard some war stories of your past experiences and hikes, and I was like, I don't know what I'm getting
Yes.
myself into. I just did the Murph 2 days ago, so like I was like so stiff going to
Oh man.
Montana. Like I couldn't bend my elbows like the whole trip. I was still sore from the weighted push-ups and the weighted pull-ups, and I was just like, all right, guess we're going for a big hike. And like someone said it was like 9.5 miles. I was like, all right, let's do it. So, we
Yes.
we did that. And I think from the get-go, like I I remember being on that hike, and I was like, I just feel like God has you know asked me to just do my best to lead. And we jumped out in front, and we were kind of going for a hike, talking about everything under the sun, and spending some good time, getting some sharing some time with you, and getting to know you and
Yeah.
your story a bit deeper. So, and then yeah, we just kept going. We just kept going, and you definitely pushed me on some things going at the end, getting into the river. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, man, that hike was incredible, and I'm not used to hiking down for the reward, because
Mhm.
every hike I've ever been on, it's always you hike up for the reward. So
Right.
that was uh, that was different, because you had so much energy going down, and you're all pumped up, and you're like, yeah. And all of a sudden, you get down, and you're like, look back up, and you're like, crap, this is gonna
Exactly.
suck. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I can sit here and we can sit here and complain, and talk how tired we are, but I'm like, let's just do it. Let's just get going, put your head down, and walk up this dang hill. So, yeah, that was an awesome experience. Then we get to the top, and I think I was kind of leading the pack at one point, and then I just felt like I wanted to kind of help out the team because I know how tired everyone was, and I was like, I got a little bit of energy in the reserve, and I was like, I just kind of want to run ahead and grab the car for you guys, just so we could just get on the road and get back and stuff like that. So I ran ahead, and I used that. I ran the whole way home, and I was just running, and I just stopped at a lookout, looked out over the Yellowstone Mountain. I was just like so grateful that I was there and I was here with you guys, and yeah, it was just had some really good chats with God on the way back, and I just felt like, yeah, he was just saying like, man, like you're a leader, not even just in this group, but just in your life. When you go back home from Montana, like you're meant to lead. You're meant to lead the charge. You're out in front, and like that's kind of my life. I always tried to be with the pack. I always tried to be part of the pack and not stand out too much, because when you stood out too much as a younger guy, you got called a try hard. You got called, too competitive. You're you're kind of a sore loser and stuff like that. And like every single time I tried too hard, and I always had to like almost limit myself and come back into the group so I didn't like intimidate people or make people feel worse. And I noticed that, but I think that weekend was just a reminder. It's like you're meant to be out front. Like you're meant to clear the path for some people, and like it's kind of like for me, and I just felt that was a big, huge thing that I got from Montana that's I've taken home with me.
It's incredible.
Yeah, just leading the pack, and then went home, and you guys obviously had a very interesting day, and obviously you came through and you shined, and I think God just made that a nice little challenging day for Matt, Jeff, and Connor that got stuck at the bottom with no water. So it didn't go as smooth as we all thought, but I think that's what the adversity really made us grow deeper together. And I thought that was pretty cool how we all kind of went through that and got through that together. And we all knew you guys had a long journey ahead of you and had to drive home and get late. So that was one thing that we came together as like the other remaining group. We were like, we want these guys to come home to like dinner, like a meal. And don't even want them to think about, oh man, like what are we going to cook? Like we got to warm up food. We got to do this kind of stuff. We like wanted to walk in. So we just felt you guys would have done that for us. And then, Sunday was a phenomenal day. That was when we shared our testimonies and got deeper as a group and got to hear people's testimonies. And, then me, you, and Austin decided that we want to go for a walk and go for a run. And we found ourselves at the top of this beautiful lookout, looking over the valleys of Montana. And
dude, we didn't find ourselves, man. We took that challenge head on.
True.
So we were running on this. It was a pretty hilly terrain, like a gravel road type terrain that was going up and down these hills. And then we get to this spot where we kind of go in three different directions. One was straight, continue up the gravel road. One was to the left, up another gravel road. And then one was to the right, which was directly up a small mountain. And there was no trail.
Yeah.
And we were like, yes, let's go up that one. And so we did. And you can continue from there.
I was just like, Peyton, do you see how steep that is? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, that's going to take a while. He's like, it's going to take like 10 minutes. And I was like, I don't know, man. We were like, let's run it. And I think we ran for the first couple 20, like whatever. And like ran up like a little bit of it, probably an eighth of it. And we're like, man, my legs are just already burning. Like you're just going like, whew.
It was a challenge.
And yeah, man, it was just cool. Like even from the beginning, like we never taken that road as a walk. And I remember just being like turning left. We started running up this little hill and then kept going. And then all of a sudden we're like just kept going up this bigger mountain. And then we found ourselves this gorgeous lookout, man. And I take a snapshot of that valley, and that's actually on like my Spotify. Like that view from the top of the mountain is actually the canvas for the new song I just released today.
Dude,
And it's got the lookout of the valley over top of it. Because like sitting up there looking at that, I was like, this is incredible. Like this is so gorgeous. Like that's what an exercise should feel like when you have to work your butt off to get to a reward like that. Like that was so cool to have that.
100%.
And then yeah, man. Then the rest of the night was just like I had this vision, and then I had this thing. I saw everyone up there having a bonfire and stuff like that, and like we all kind of talked about that. Like, how cool would this be to have the crew up here? And I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And we went back. All the guys were kind of hanging out. I think people were really tired from the previous day, and then I think we came in and we brought the energy. Like we came in just like huffing and puffing and feeling alive, and we're like, you guys got to see what we just saw. Like, you guys need to come with us. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, and then I was like, I got this new song about taking the road less traveled, and like being different than everyone else, and not being okay with the path that you're on. And you may look over at another path that someone's on and be like, man, that looks so much more enjoyable. Like, looks more not as stressful. Like, my path is covered with trees and rocks and cliffs. And I'm like, man, like, do I continue down this road? Because like, it's hurting me to keep going. And that whole vision of the song came to me, and I was like up there, and we took such a hard climb. I was like, that'd be so cool to be able to do like, just a little bit of the song up here and kind of film some content. And yeah, I went back and I was like, guys, like, I feel like we should do a music video up on the rock. Just like go up there and make the most of it. Like, like doesn't have to be a huge thing. Like, doesn't have to be just like getting up there. And I almost wanted to give people an incentive to get up there. Like, hey, we could be in a little bit of a music video, or like just have some fun, and just like, because we were leaving in the morning. I know me and Myron were leaving in the morning. So I'm like, I want to create some just memorable bonding time. And so we made it happen. You got the Subaru all fired up, and I'm like, we taking 2 cars? You're like, no, one's good. And I'm like, all right.
10 guys, one small Subaru Crosstrek.
10 guys, one Subaru.
We had 2 guys on the roof.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I was just like, this is, and I was like nervous. I was anxious. I was excited, because I'm like, it's so tricky. Like music and promoting your music is something that's just like, sometimes I can't stand that side of the thing where it's like, I wish I didn't have to promote what I'm doing in my music. I wish that I could just make music and it did its own thing, and it was found by the right people that needed it. But I was also like, there's such an amazing opportunity here to like do both, to like create memorable experiences, but also see if I can get like just a little footage of this overlook with my music. And I was just like, it was tricky, because I didn't know how to bring that up, because I knew that like, Connor was there for you guys and doing a massive vlog for you, and I did not want to take away from what you guys were doing. And I was just like, but I wonder if there's a way that we just maybe squeeze in something and just do it. And so yeah, I was kind of nervous and anxious driving up there, but I'm just like, I just kept reminding myself, I'm like, God has a plan. This is not in my hands. This is just like, this is God working, and he's going to orchestrate a plan on however it's meant to happen. And we had no plan. I had no plan. Right. We didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about what we were going to do. We just fired open the camera and was like, play the song and sing it.
Yep.
And we did a couple takes, and then, you guys were in the back and stuff like that. And I was like, let's go to the front. And then I got there and I turned to Connor. I'm like, we're good. I'm like, let's stop. You got a couple pieces in the beginning. this is like this is something out of like a movie. Like, and I actually remember I saw all you guys looking out over the valley, over the mountain. And I'm like,
Mm,
this is not about the road not taken anymore. Like, this is like, I've got to sing the song. I got to sing
mm.
Elevate.
Yep.
I got to change. I got to change notes here and sing a different song that just like came to me. And then I remember I was sitting up there and I started strumming the song I wrote for you guys, Elevate, and just like everyone was looking out, and I'm like, yeah, singing Elevate, and then we sung a couple more songs after that, and like I remember I was like, this is not about me, and like I sat down on the rock, and instead of
Mm,
like standing up and performing, because that's one thing I'm not used to yet, is that when you come from the world of performing in country music, you are the center of attention. But when you
mm.
do worship, it's not about you. It's about the music. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, if I'm gonna sing worship, like I gotta come down to the ground and sing worship.
That's
So
powerful.
that's been a thing for me, is learning that. But yeah, man, it was a incredible night and experience, and yeah, that will
Yeah.
always be. I always cherish that memory.
Dude, yeah, what a memory. And I know for a lot of the members that attended, a lot of the guys that attended, like that was one of their favorite parts.
Hmm.
And it all just started with God working in the smallest of moments, with us randomly choosing that path to go on in the run. And then us looking at that mountain and say, all right, let's get up there, jokingly. And then we did. And then God giving you that vision. He works the smallest of moments. I didn't have that on the itinerary for the event, but thankfully from past events, knowing how God works, in just the sometimes it seems like chaos to me, from trying to run an event, but I've learned to just let go at times, and that was one of those moments when you brought that idea to us. I was like, okay, this is a moment where God's working, and sure enough, we get up there, we get to record. You get to record some pieces for your upcoming music video, The Road Less Traveled. And then next, we find ourselves on the edge of the mountain, looking out upon this incredible valley with a mountain with a range of mountains in the background.
Hmm.
And you're just playing that worship music. It's so peaceful. The connection at that point hadn't felt as deep as it did just like in that moment. We're all just sitting there singing together. You're playing your songs, and then you get to play Elevate as well. We truly got to see God work through just the smallest and most random of moments, which is incredible to see.
Hmm. Yep. It was pretty cool, man.
Absolutely, man. You unpacked a lot there. Basically, the whole event, until you left. So
You
that's
asked for
cool.
it. You asked for it. I was just like, I don't know how much I need to. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna flow and see what comes to my mind. So
Hundred
yeah, man.
percent.
It
Yeah.
just now talking about it, I realized how much we did.
Oh man, isn't it so cool? One thing I did want to point out that you said earlier, you just feeling called to lead, and God just revealing to you, how much of a leader you are, not only at this event, but back in your hometown, back in the groups that you're in, the people that you're around. Um, it's incredible to hear for Matt and I, as the event creators and the event leaders, because that's one of the main goals that we set going into these events. Is like we don't want to do it the way that we want it to go. We just simply want the space created for God to work, and for realizations to occur. The space, the challenges, and the deep discussions and the deep convos. Like those are the three things that we make sure are on the itinerary, so that the guys attending it can reflect on who they are. The challenges, so that they can um, find out a little bit more of who they are on the deeper level, and then just the space in general. Like for you, and you went out ahead on the hike, and that was just you and God speaking, which is just, I don't know. It warms my heart to hear that, man, because that's like the main goal. It's just the
Hmm.
space for God to work in all of our hearts, really.
Hmm. Yeah, man. No, I just absolutely, man. I think it's just yeah. I think it's so cool how it definitely happens. You know, like some paths are meant for you and God as a group, and some paths are meant for you and God to walk alone. And you know, I just felt like I just think throughout my life, man, I just always didn't really ever answer that calling all the time. Like
Hmm.
being afraid to be out on your own and you know just like being so misunderstood for so many years and you know like I was always that dreamer. I was always that visionary guy that always like I wanted life a little differently. And you know all my friends growing up had very set standards on what they needed in their life. They, you know, they wanted a good job, they wanted a family, they wanted to do this, and it just felt like I'm like, I don't want that. Like I want to live a life that I can just like when I get to that deathbed, I want to be out of breath.
Mm.
Like I want to be like so tired and done and just be like I gave my time on earth like everything I could.
Yeah.
I was always a black sheep. I was always just kind of a little bit out there. And I lost a lot of friends, and I really learned who my real friends were. And I received a lot of ridicule. In my early 20s because I in high school I was that popular kind of guy that was friends with everyone and had a big group of friends. And then at about 21 years old, I had this wake up call and I got into a car crash. It was a 6 car crash, and it put a light switch. It flipped a switch, and I realized I don't want to be this guy anymore. I don't want to be partying every single weekend. Like I want to like do something that I can be proud of.
Mm.
And I opened my first company at age 21, 22 with my best friend. It was a clothing company, and we started going through that, and we failed. We closed the company down because we couldn't see eye to eye on where it was going. But that started the motor for trying to create something different. Like
Mm.
not do what everyone's doing, because to me like normal was not what I wanted. And it was hard, man. It was hard to be out because you want everyone to like you. And oh, Greg, and he's don't worry about him. He's a dreamer. I think he's doing music now or something. Like
Mm.
he's so random. Like one moment he's doing speaking, and then he's doing music, and then he's trying to like coach people. Like he is so all over the place, man. Like this kid is lost. And that's what everyone would say. They're like, this kid is lost. Like this kid doesn't know what he wants to do. And um, it was tough. It was tough for many years, and I felt alone, and I felt like no one understood me, and I turned to alcohol, and turned to drugs, and I turned to partying, and I turned to the things that made me feel part of the group, and I got away from it for a bit in my early 20s, but then around my mid 20s, it all came crashing down on me again, and yeah, and then 26, I went to Nashville, still partying, doing music, living that life. But I always had a hole, man. I always had a hole in my heart, and like once I found God and found Jesus, like that was started to really fill it up and gave me true fulfillment. And it's beautiful, man. And now I'm okay being out on my own because I know that God has a plan for me, and He's like, man, just keep leading the pack. Like you're gonna help people get through things. You're gonna you're gonna help those lost people, those directionless people like you used to be. You're gonna help them find clarity. And I think that's what my mission is, man. That's my purpose that God gave me, is that you're gonna help people find a way through the forest.
Mm. I love that, dude. You're truly using, you know, your past pain, um, for good. God's turning that pain into purpose, which is exactly what we're supposed to do and called to do. And
Mm-hmm.
He gives us a message to spread, and it's our duty to spread it. So that's incredible, man. You mentioned just getting ridiculed by the people around you. I kind of went through that as well when I kicked off my self development journey, last bit of high school. Shut off a lot of my friends who weren't good for me. knocked out a lot of the bad habits that I felt weren't serving me or propelling me to grow. And had a lot of people disagree with the route that I was taking just because it wasn't normal. And that's ultimately what led me to Elevate. Just having a community of guys around me who understood, who wanted to grow, who sought after God and the kingdom of God first. And that just gave me a new level of confidence in where I was going. And it helped me kind of drown out the noise and just the disagreement from the rest of the world. And I'm curious if, I know you've only been in Elevate a month now, but has just having a community around you, given you a new confidence like that?
Yeah, man. I think it's also opened me up to your community, but it's also made me even reach out to more of like, my Christian brothers that are like closer to me, and like starting to create more conversation with them, and just realize that like, yeah, we're all in this together, and we're all, and it just feels good to kind of feel a little bit more understood. And I think just coming from a group that never went to church, and I never grew up going to church, and it just seemed foreign to me, that I just think there's a lot of people out there that would just massively benefit from a community like this. And even if you don't have strong faith, or you're just even open minded about it, it's worth just going for it and trying it. And just you may pull a really good friend out of this or something. But I just think, yeah, it's definitely for those outliers, man. This goes to the coffee brand I created, like the Last Outlaws.
Yes.
Like, it's the people that are just on the outskirts and not afraid to be different. But when those outlaws find each other, they create a band of brothers, and they create just just an incredible group. And I think that's what I envisioned for the company, was just like, man, this coffee is for the people that were ridiculed and told they were crazy and called dreamers and say that you'll never amount to much, and you're lost. And like, it's for all those people, they come together. And I just think, man, like, yeah, Last Outlaws is that, but then also Elevate is just connecting the brothers that are just looking to get deeper understanding of their faith and find like-minded men.
Absolutely. I love that. I appreciate you sharing. And there's no other connection you'll get than with the men who are pursuing a similar path than you. Like, we're taking the road less traveled. We have to stick together because, the rest of the world, like, it's not necessarily us against the rest of the world, because we're called to love everyone, but at the same time, like, we have to stick together. This is where we feel secure, where we can share our struggles with each other. Um, we can pick each other back up, propel each other forward when we need to. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, and it's the song "Road Not Taken," like, that to me is, you just gave me a better understanding of it too, is that the road that is the hardest route, the one that we all know we should be going down, is sometimes the hardest one. And normal people and average people do not take that road because they know that it's just going to be too hard for them, and they're just too scared to be out and believing in their faith and believing in God and going for it, and being outspoken about their beliefs, their religion, their politics, whatever it is. Be outspoken. But there's a lot of people that will not take that road. And yeah, man, I just think that's cool.
Amen.
Like, it's people that are on the hard road together.
Absolutely. The beautiful thing about it is, it's like for Elevate, for example, um, we're random men from all over the world. You can come into this community and introduce yourself as whoever you want to be, and
Mm-hmm.
tell everyone in the community where you're going and where you want to go. It's like, for me, for example, I joined when I lived in my hometown. These people have known me my whole life, but the men in Elevate, they have no idea who I am. I can introduce myself as the man who I'm reaching for, and the guys inside of it will hold you accountable to that. You can share where you're going, and then accountability will be held to you, which I just find so cool.
Absolutely. That was my favorite thing about starting new in new places too. Whenever I got to start in a new country or a new city, it's like I got to show up and be whoever I've always wanted to be. Like they don't know your past. They don't know the things you've been through. You know, that's 100% what I felt when I moved to Nashville too. Like when I
Yeah,
first moved there, I was like, man, everyone has a story and everyone is coming from their respected hometowns to chase this dream of music. And that was also cool too. It's like, yeah, you're just you're finding a community. You're finding people that understand you. And I think that's the most important thing.
amen, brother. Amen. Appreciate you sharing all that you did about the event. To wrap up here, just the interview, I've got a handful of kind of quick hitting questions.
Mhm.
Um, and just to kick us off, wrapping up really the event part of things, what was your favorite part of the Montana event?
I have to say the worship on the mountain, man. I think for me it was just walking up there and yeah, looking out over the valley and singing and um, you just really just looking around and we all hug each other after and I agree it was one of the deepest connections I felt to the guys on top of that mountain.
Let's go, dude. It's hard for me to pick, but that one's definitely top three for me.
Hmm.
Heck yeah, man. All right. Another one is, um, what is your favorite channel inside of the Discord community?
Hmm. Well, I think I'm a little biased because for a little bit it was the Montana event, for but just talking about all the things.
Yeah.
But as a universal one, I would have to say I like I like the wins. I like the action of the weeks. I thought those were kind of cool. And then, yeah, I found a bunch of good sermons on the sermon channel. So, yeah, when I was just diving in, I was just pouring through ones with resources.
Let's go.
For me, that was the biggest one. Going through forums that had resources for me to look deeper into maybe diet or finance or 75 hard.
Love it, dude. For anyone listening, Action of the Week is one of our features inside of Elevate, where one of the Elevate leaders in the community posts one action for the community to take action on during the week that will help everyone grow in some capacity, maybe faith, it may be health, or just kind of life in general. But it's our one focus action for the week. So, but love it, dude. Another one I got for you is, what aspects of the community have been key to your growth so far?
I think the aspects of the community have just been, yeah, just the consistent amount of events per week. I think it really gives you an opportunity to just, to maybe you can't make every single Bible study or you can just jump on for a couple minutes, but they just give you a lot of opportunities to get in and to connect. I think has been really good. It's not like, oh, we're only doing once a week or once a month. Like I just think there's many different opportunities throughout the week that you can do, or you can just start conversations with other people and have a chat. So yeah, I think Discord is just great for that, and the Elevate forum is awesome just to have many opportunities to connect with other men around the world.
Love it, dude. Appreciate you sharing. Couple more questions. We're almost there. Kind of a fun one that I've got for you is, if you could get lunch with any three Elevate members, who would they be?
Hmm. I think I got to say, you guys. I just think I connected really well with you and Matt and Austin. You guys obviously are the leaders of the group, but I just I felt like we really connected and going for runs, and I think I think it'd be pretty cool to grab lunch with you guys.
Heck yeah, dude. Can't go wrong with that answer. All right, last one I got for you, Greg, is if someone just listened to this interview and is considering joining Elevate, what would your advice be to them?
I think my advice would be, if they were listening to this and they thought, hey, like that could be cool for me and stuff like that, I would just say, really give it your all. I think I said this at the end of the Montana event when we did an interview with Connor. I think having a group like this and having people that are really involved and really present, it makes this group so strong. It's when you start, bringing in people that maybe aren't as wanting to be as active, and then it grows too big, and then it doesn't stay as present. So I would say, like, if you're looking to join, it's just like come in and join and dive in and talk and really be present and come to
Yes.
the Bible studies. And I just think groups like this can have the fear of getting watered down if too many people come in and not enough action. So it's like, if you're going to come in and really just like open yourself up and intro yourself, and, don't be afraid to strike up a conversation with someone and just start building connections, because the more connections you build right off the bat, it's going to make you want to continue to show up every single week.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I totally agree. And for you, like you said, you waited several months before joining, right? Would you tell someone to just take the leap?
Absolutely, and I think but again, I think it's all timing, right? It's all God's timing when it's right for you.
That's
I
exactly
think
right.
I think I just didn't even look at it like that. Like, I wish I joined sooner, because I'm just like, it just didn't dawn on me at that time. It didn't.
Yeah,
I wasn't fully ready for it yet, and I felt like if I joined, I might have been a little bit too distant. But like, when I join things, I jump in, as you can
mm,
see, and I like to immerse myself. So I just knew that I had the time and the space, and financials and all that stuff were in place, and I'm just like, just go for it. Let's dive
let's
in
go.
and immerse.
Amen, dude. Well, for anyone listening, you heard it here first. If you're feeling that pull to join community of like-minded men, just take the leap, come in, dive in head first, and utilize all that we have to offer inside the community. Well, Greg, those are all the questions I had for you, man. I appreciate you coming on here and just sharing all that you did on this. I mean, even though you've only been in the community for a day less than a month now, you still had so much to share um, because of the intention and because you dove in head first. I mean, you're able
Mm-hmm.
to share all this. So I appreciate you coming on here, man. And for anyone listening, tune in for more interviews.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and we'll keep going, keep doing this, and I'll keep singing, and we'll keep going.
Let's go, man. All right. Hope to have Greg on here again soon. I'm sure we will because our relationship's going to keep growing. But thanks to anyone who watched, and hope to see you soon. Peace and love.
Take care, guys.